This is a special series that showcases positive stories of hope, courage and innovation. These stories don't necessarily make it to the headlines, but showcase the spirit of human triumph. Now, if inspiration had a name, it would certainly be Doris Francis. Her life turned upside down when she lost her daughter in a road accident. It was the darkest time of her lives, but she decided to change things for the better. She took it upon herself to ensure that every driver obeys traffic rules and nobody violates road safety. Here's her story.
This is National Highway 24, the road connecting the national capital with its biggest suburb, Ghaziabad. It is here that this woman's life came to a standstill 6 years ago. At this busy crossroad, Doris Francis lost her teenage daughter to the maddening city traffic. For 6 years now, she has been coming to this spot every day, asking people to stop, not to look for sympathy, but with a simple request: obey traffic rules.
तो इसी पॉइंट के ऊपर जिस पे मैं खड़ी होकर यहाँ पर यह हाईवे कंट्रोल करती हूँ, तो यहीं पे एक्सीडेंट हुआ था मेरे हस्बैंड का और मेरी बेटी का, छोटी का। तो उसके जो थे फेफड़े फट गए थे, मेरे बैक में पूरे सर में चोट आई थी, मेरे हस्बैंड के भी काफ़ी चोट आई थी, टाँके वगैरह आए थे। तो उसमें हमने हमारी ज़िंदगी तो बच गई, मगर मेरी बेटी की ज़िंदगी नहीं बची, ना मैं बचा सकी। और उस एक्सीडेंट के बाद मेरा दिल दहल गया और मुझे लगा कि अगर हम कुछ ऐसा कार्य करें कि जिससे और माँओं की गोद सुनी ना हो, तो मैंने इसके अंदर अपनी दिलचस्पी ली है और हर इंसान को ये मैसेज पहुंचाना चाहती हूँ मैं इस तरह कि भाई अगर आप लोग भी थोड़ा थोड़ा ये काम कर लोगे तो बहुत से एक्सीडेंट बच सकते हैं।
Armed with a stick, a whistle, a cap to protect her from the elements, 50-year-old Doris stands at this busy intersection every day, 7 a.m. to noon, in the hope that by not violating traffic rules, this city will pay its ultimate tribute to her daughter.
बहुत हेल्प मिलता है, डेली मैडम आती हैं, कोई दिन ऐसा नहीं हो जो नहीं आती हो, संडे को बाई चांस नहीं आ जाए लेकिन डेली मैडम आती हैं।
She is doing the best और मुझे नहीं पता कितने लोगों को इनसे फ़ायदा है। Every day I salute her.
It's been 6 years since this lady has been regulating traffic on roads just to make sure no one can get hurt on roads and reach safely to their destination. Now it's our turn to respect and follow road safety rules.
Headlines today salutes the spirit of Doris. With Ram Kinkar Singh, Shujoy, Headlines Today.
They're usually mocked, feared and ostracized. But a group of eunuchs emerged as heroic saviors when Trilokpuri erupted in violence on October 28th. Let's take a look at their bravery.
Laila Shah lives in Block 35 of Trilokpuri in East Delhi. A few days ago, when the area was raked by communal violence, Laila and a few more like her decided to do something to stop the madness. Laila and her group stood at the entrance of Block 35 and threatened to undress if the rioters didn't turn back and leave the locality. It's normally a threat that eunuchs use to extort money, but that fateful night, when Trilokpuri was burning, their threat saved their block.
हमारी मेहनत रंग लाई कि हमने उनको घुसने नहीं दिया अंदर, ब्लॉक के अंदर। और जो कांच पड़ा हुआ था रोड के ऊपर, जो पथरा हुआ कांच था, उसको हम हैंग टू हैंग साफ करते गए। हाँ, कर्फ्यू के अंदर ही हम उसको साफ करते गए। जो लोगों को देखो तो कहे कि हाँ कोई झगड़ा हुआ नहीं है, ठंडक मिलेगी लोगों की आंखों को।
Socially ostracized people like Laila usually exist on the fringes of society. But when the so-called normal people of society lost their sense, the eunuchs stood guard for harmony. Delhi police have recognized their contribution and have announced a reward for Leila and her group. A small thank you from a society which ordinarily does its best to ignore them. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
India's first lifestyle magazine on Braille is here. White print will bring entertainment, politics and lifestyle to the visually challenged and also showcase their voices and stories. Take a look.
She isn't reading a textbook. It's an English language magazine, but the first of its kind in India because it is published in Braille. White print opens up a window of fresh air for its readers.
पॉलिटिशियंस आता है, शॉर्ट स्टोरीज आती है और खेल जगत के बारे में आता है, विज्ञान वार्ता, साहित्य जगत, सब कुछ वाइट प्रिंट में आता है।
जब से मैं पढ़ रही हूँ मैगज़ीन, उसमें कुछ अलग अलग से टॉपिक थे कि जिसमें किसी को भी मोटिवेशन मिल सकता है। जैसे कोई किसी टॉपिक में ऐसा था कि कोई कहाँ से मतलब कोई सिटी देख के आया है और वहाँ का experience tha.
It all started with Upasana Makati wanting to gift her visually challenged friends something to read in their free time. There were magazines in Hindi and in some regional languages, but none in English. White print was born to cater to Indians who cannot see.
I couldn't find, a magazine to read for the visually impaired because honestly, my morning doesn't start without the newspaper. So it's very difficult for me to having placed the visually impaired community in the same light and not have any magazine or newspaper to read. So that's where, my urge and my need and, that dedication sort of to give my everything to the project began.
Reading material in Braille is very scarce after 12th standard. The sighted people, like this is today, present day is referred to as the information revolution. So sighted people have so much to read, either in the form of books or through the print media or through internet and electronic media and so on and so forth. Whereas the blind have very little reading opportunities. So these periodicals, which like white print and other things that we are trying to bring out, these periodicals give not only information to the blind, but they are also contributing to the improvement of their quality of life.
Education in Braille in India is mostly in Hindi or regional languages. English is therefore a challenge for most. White print helps to educate while entertaining and informing.
हम लोग जब गांव से यहाँ आते हैं तो थोड़ी सी इंग्लिश की कमी ऑफकोर्स रहती है, तो इस मैगज़ीन में जो कुछ नहीं समझा वो हमने समझने की कोशिश की। और उपासना मैडम जब भी नया मैगज़ीन लेके आती है महीने में एक बार, तो वो मुझसे कुछ पूछते हैं कि मैडम ये क्या है वो क्या है, तो हमें वो अच्छी तरह से गाइडेंस भी करती है। यानी हमारे दो फ़ायदे, मैगज़ीन भी मिलता है और गाइडेंस भी मिलता है।
See, most blind persons in India study in vernacular mediums of instruction, okay? Like they study predominantly in the state language. And their knowledge of English is unfortunately quite poor. Whereas these days, English is very much essential for succeeding in any career for that matter. So, English reading material in Braille being very scarce in this country, white print definitely has brought about a major change.
What started out as an attempt to fill a void is soon turning out to be the favorite for all. And Upasana is thrilled every time she receives a comment from a reader.
I think success for us is when we get calls from the smallest of villages and towns in India, for subscription, where, even a courier might not be reaching. It's just through post that we send our magazine. So that's a success for us where, it's a very small village, but we have number of subscribers there.
जब भी मुझे ऐसा लगे कि अभी मुझे मैगज़ीन पढ़ना है, तब मैं पढ़ लेता हूँ। वाइट प्रिंट मेरा सबसे फेवरेट मैगज़ीन है।
With Pooja Jain in Mumbai, in New Delhi, this is Lasipriya Sundaram for Headlines Today.
Now, a lot of you might be surprised to know that Asia's cleanest village is not in Japan or Singapore, but right here in India. A village in Meghalaya has been awarded the cleanest village in Asia, and the credit actually goes to the people residing in the village. Let's take a look at their story.
This is what Asia's cleanest village looks like. Mawlynnong in Meghalaya, home to 90 families, has been described as the cleanest village in the continent by a popular science magazine and the British Broadcasting Corporation. Reason enough to follow the good news to the village itself. Traditionally an agrarian society, Mawlynnong is faced with the challenges of intrusion from the outside world. Roads have brought in tourists, and this sleepy hamlet is no longer as secluded as before. Tourism has also brought in extra garbage, and keeping the village clean is a challenge that Mawlynnong's residents are determined to win. 82 km from the state capital Shillong, this picturesque village has people who preach and practice cleanliness almost like a religion. They don't spare the tourists either. The rules for the tourists are also non-negotiable. These rules haven't stopped the flow of tourists. Close to 100 tourists visit the village on a daily basis, bringing in not just garbage but wealth and prosperity too. While the country today is all geared up for Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, it's a campaign that started generations ago in Mawlynnong. Today, they're a living example of how a determined community can stay garbage-free but still embrace development. With Bhalok in Meghalaya, Sahil Manekthala for Headlines Today.
October 31st was World Fetus Day, and what better way to celebrate it than an audacious surgery performed on a 28-week-old fetus in a hospital in Hyderabad. It is a first of its kind surgery in India. Let's take a look.
Sirisha was in despair when she heard that her unborn baby had a heart defect. The baby's heart valve was blocked, but doctors at Care Hospital in Hyderabad assured her that they will cure her baby's condition with a surgery inside her womb.
When the first time the procedure was done, it was a failure. We felt very sorrow for that, but again the next attempt was done after 2 weeks, and by God's grace it was successful.
The doctors inserted a needle inside Sirisha's womb to reach the baby's heart. The needle had a small balloon specially designed for the baby that was inflated inside the baby's heart to ease the blockage in the heart valve.
We entered the baby's heart from the Sirisha's abdomen, uterus, baby's chest, and then left ventricle. That particular point we confirmed the needle position, we passed the wire and appropriate balloon, and we opened the valve. So next to 72 hours, after 72 hours we assessed again. There was good relief to the valve, and the left ventricle started pumping, and a lot of blood actually started going to the brain and other vital organs.
Sirisha, the brave heart, says she had her family's support and strength to go through with this ordeal. All to ensure the baby, when he or she came into the world, was 100% healthy.
My support was my husband, to be frank. When we came to know about the problem, we both discussed and we came to a decision.
The baby, it would seem, has been gifted with a balloon even before it is born. Doctors say it was the grit and determination of the parents that helped them perform this feat. They will continue to monitor the baby and expect a healthy delivery. With camera person Manohar Reddy, Ratnika Sharma in Hyderabad for Headlines Today.
Now, in an extraordinary success story, Africa's most populated country, Nigeria, has contained the Ebola virus and has been declared free of Ebola by none other than the World Health Organization. What's more is that Nigeria has showcased how, with the help of the right techniques and the right speed, one could achieve a welcome result.
As the Ebola scare spreads outside Africa, world leaders and public health specialists are desperately scrambling to control the West African outbreak. Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone are the 3 of the 17 nations that form the economic community of the West African states, whose combined territory is roughly half the land of the United States. But with the population roughly the same at 340 million, it's about twice as dense as America. And since the disease is passed from person to person, it's crucial to get outbreaks like these under control as quickly as possible. Especially considering that in less than a year, a staggering 47%, or 2,984 of just the over 6,400 people who have been sickened by the strain of Ebola have died. This death toll is now well over 45,000, and according to the World Health Organization, the expected number of Ebola-related deaths could go as high as 100,000 by 2015. While many countries introduced panic-induced measures, Nigeria showed how to deal with the disease. The good news from Nigeria is that it did not shut down its borders or break contact with Ebola-affected Liberia and Sierra Leone, but tackled the spread in a much matured fashion in Africa's most populous country. Ebola surfaced in Nigeria in July, with a total outbreak of 20 cases and 8 reported casualties. The number of deaths might not have been as high as they were in neighboring countries, but it was enough to cause a mass panic. So when the final patients under observation were given the all clear, these words were perhaps music to many people's ears.
WHO officially declares that Nigeria is now free of Ebola virus transmission.
But the good news is not just that Nigeria is Ebola-free, but also that the country's success story can serve as a beacon of hope for other African countries still afflicted by the deadly Ebola virus.
This is a spectacular success story that shows to the world that Ebola can be contained. But we must be clear that we only won a battle. The war will only end when West Africa is also declared free of Ebola.
At first, the response to Ebola's arrival in Nigeria was flawed, to say the least. It took 2 weeks for the first isolation ward to open, and health workers were initially reluctant to work in it.
When I heard about Ebola, I feel like not touching anybody, because that is what everybody used to hear about Ebola. So I don't feel like touching anybody. I don't feel like entering into public transport.
For the Nigerian government, creating awareness and introducing the importance of hygiene in communities was top priority in order to contain the spread of the apocalyptic disease.
You need to wash your hands. It is very, very important for you.
Well, certainly Ebola is one of the hemorrhagic viral diseases, and everybody knows that the mortality is very high, and the awareness had hitherto been low in Nigeria. But when it was imported to this country, the government did very well by going all full force to make sure that they increase the awareness.
And it seems the message was well received.
Nigerians know the reason why we should wash our hands. Aside from Ebola, family, your hands must be clean. We use our hand every second. On our faces, on our mouth, on our nose, the same hand we used to shake people. Now everybody is aware that we have to be neat, clean at any second, not only because of Ebola. It has changed our life a lot.
Nigeria's response to the Ebola outbreak was fantastic and used its experience in tackling polio to do so. Temperature screenings were set up in airports, 1,800 health workers were trained, protective gear was provided, and deceased bodies were disposed properly. As with polio eradication, this wasn't easy, but it was imperative to stopping the disease in its tracks. But perhaps what makes Nigeria's success story truly inspirational is the fact that ordinary citizens volunteered to spread awareness within their communities.
Nigerians become mindful. Even friends stop embracing themselves until we get out of Ebola. So it had the buy-in of the populace. Of course, that's why we succeeded so fast. Otherwise, we couldn't have. There's no magic government would have used to solve that problem. No president or state governors who claim any credit. The credit should go to the ordinary Nigerians for the cooperation and buying.
Nigeria might have been declared Ebola-free, but cannot afford to declare Ebola over. The first outbreak is over, but others may come. As with polio, until there are no cases of Ebola, no one is safe from the virus. But the lessons from Nigeria are clear for other countries, including India, to learn from and develop emergency plans to respond quickly to stop the deadly Ebola for once and for all.
And that's about all the time that we have on this episode of Good News Today. You can tweet us your feedback at HLT Good News. We'll see you same time, same place next week with more stories of hope, courage and inspiration. But for all the news and updates, keep watching Headlines Today.